Frank, good to see you as always. Busy few weeks coming up.
It is, Chris. I mean, you know, we've certainly this is a fabulous show in Manchester in November. Seven title fights on there, all of them in their own right are or is a main event in itself. So if you're a boxing fan, I mean, it doesn't get any better. It does not get any better than this. This is a really good night's boxing. We've got world title fights, we've got European title fights, we've got final eliminator for a world title, we've got British title fights and Commonwealth title. You know, this is a boxing festival.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Nick Ball, I'll mention him first. I mean, this is definitely the biggest fight of his career. Wins this, and he's a mandatory.
It is. This is a tough fight. Isaac Dogbo's a former world champion. He's a winning fighter. It's a tough job for him. Without a doubt, this is Nick's toughest job. He's done brilliantly over the last couple of years on TNT as it is now, brilliantly, and showed what he's all about. And this is a big step up for him. But as he comes through this, you know, as you just said, Chris, he then becomes the mandatory for the world title. So everything is there for him to gain, and it's a big night for him to shine.
Nathan Heeney, Denzel Bentley, can't wait for that one.
No, it's a great fight. I think between them they've had, I think it's 42 wins between them, and 2 losses and 1 draw. So you know, it's a cracking fight. Nathan's got this most amazing support from the Stoke area, and we were trying to get a title fight on for him in Stoke over the summer, but they couldn't do it because they had works being done to their ground. So we're in Manchester with it, and you know, with Denzel, I mean, Denzel's just brilliant. I mean, everything he's done it in style. I mean, he's very unlucky not to be a world champion at the moment. But I think this is the two gentlemen of boxing fighting each other. 2 really lovely guys. Both have done really well. I think for the sport, showed that boxing is not just about screaming and shouting at each other. It's also showing about what nice guys you are. And Nathan's just like Mr. Stoke. Everywhere you go, everybody loves him there. I mean, he's the man. So this is going to be something a little bit special on the night.
And what about the winner of that fight? What's next for them?
I will make sure the winner of that fight gets a shot at the world title next year.
Okay, and because I say that because a couple of weeks after that, obviously we've got Hamza Sheeraz, Liam Williams, another tasty fight.
You know, that again is another fantastic domestic fight. The winner of that one against the winner of the one in Manchester. Yeah. Cracking fights. Even the losers fight each other. They're still all good fights.
And then a couple of weeks time, we're in Saudi. Now they put out all these glittering promos. I think people are starting to get a bit more excited about that.
I said to you at the time, Chris, this is going to be the biggest event I've ever been involved with. I said the promotion, this is going to be fabulous. The promos themselves, they're like Oscar-winning productions. They're brilliant, and it's going to set the scene for it. There's going to be a lot of people watching this event. It's a big event. It's the opening event, and it will be huge. There's no doubt about it.
A lot of big names going. I mean, we've heard Mike Tyson, I think Mayweather, Pacquiao, Lennox Lewis. That's just a few I've heard. They're sort of rolling off the tongue, aren't they?
There are lots of guys, and there'll be a lot of announcements leading up to the fight. And the undercard's fabulous. It's a real fighting undercard, fabulous undercard.
Well, we've already had a taste of that, haven't we? Wardley and
Adelaide.
Adelaide.
Supposed to wait until the night, but yeah. But that's set the pot boiling, hasn't it? So that's bubbling over, and that's going to be I think that's going to be something a little bit special with that one.
I've also heard that Oleksandr Usyk is going to be ringside watching that fight, and we all know about the announcement the other day.
Well, I hope he's there. The fight's signed, so we can, if everything goes how we hope it's going to go, then we can talk about that fight afterwards.
Well, I know you don't want to talk too much about that, but it seemed to come out the blue. There's all been the talk of why is it not happening, why is it on this side and the other, and then all of a sudden it's done. So how did it come about?
Well, the reason it's come out is that, first of all, Usyk's contract with Skill Set Challenge was over. That was finished. So then he was in a position where we could make the fight, whereas we hadn't had any offers to make Tyson against him. It's all well documented what we said. So it's signed. The reason it's been announced was because the contracts had to be lodged with the governing bodies, especially the IBF, before they may have announced that Hrgovic was going to fight, was going to order that fight between him and Usyk. So we had to get our contracts in because under their regulations, they allow for unification fights. They take priority. And we knew, though, once we put those contracts in, that it would leak and somebody else would be saying it's on. So we have to take the bull by the horns. In an ideal world, I wouldn't like to have said it was signed. I'd like to have done that after the fight, provided Tyson does the business. That's how we'd like to have done it.
Well, that's one thing. I know there's a few dates been bandied about, but I assume there's like not a get-out clause, but I assume there's an alternative in case Tyson does get cut, for instance, or hurt.
Well, look, let's hope it. I'm hoping from our perspective, Tyson's perspective, it goes how we want it to go. Obviously, the other guys can have a different view of that. You know, with Ngannou, he's got nothing to lose. He's got everything to gain here. This guy's going to come in and he's going to be throwing those bombs and trying to land them. He's got everything to gain, nothing to lose. And Tyson's got more pressure on him now that people know this fight's signed. Yeah. Now they know it's been signed.
I wonder, do you think that might make him fight differently? Because you said he's going to go gung-ho, but I mean...
Tyson will do what he's going to do. No one's going to tell him he's no fool. He's a student of boxing. He knows what he has to do, and he'll do whatever. You could sit down and talk about it all day long, discuss the tactics. Once that bell goes, it'll be Tyson Fury's fight.
And then obviously, God willing, he comes through that and he wins the fight and he's unscathed, takes on Usyk. I know what you're going to say. I know who you think is going to win that fight, but why do you think Tyson can beat Usyk?
Why? I just think that he's the better fighter. I've sort of studied my fighters, and I looked at Usyk, and I've watched most of his fights now, and a lot of amateur fights, and I know what his weakness is, and it was unlucky that it wasn't. It was certainly exposed and shown in his last fight where he's vulnerable. He's very vulnerable to the body, and I want to go over all the stuff again with Daniel, but he showed that weakness, and I think Tyson's obviously aware of that as well. And that's, I've got to fancy Tyson. I just have to fancy him. He's got tremendous work rate, Usyk. He's brave, he's strong, but he's in with somebody who I think's the best heavyweight of his generation. And I think he'd be in any generation, any of the ages or generations, he'd be up there with them.
But Fury and Usyk, if Fury comes home with all the belts, the first person since Lennox Lewis back in 1999, is that going to top everything for you?
Oh, without a doubt. And it'll cement his legacy as well. And I know Tyson says he's not interested in legacies. I hope he is, and I believe he is. But for me, it is. For me, as his legacy, I want to see that happen because I want him to show everyone and prove that he is the best heavyweight out there. There's a few little doubters. He beats Usyk, and then there's nothing to doubt anymore, is it? He's done the job.